All right, ladies and gentlemen, Shanda Vander Ark. We're back with her. You know what I mean? We're back. Not exactly her, but the offspring of her. You know, we have bro is skinny. First of all, we have her son. You know, we have her son who was they quote unquote call him the enforcer of her actions. Now he's gonna kind of detail all the terrible things that happened to a 15-year-old while he was being homeschooled, more like torture schooled. But anyways, we're gonna go into this examination. We have the prosecutor, who is a prosecutor is out here looking. He's a shark smelling blood. He's not playing any games out here. So we have a bulldog prosecutor, and we got this. We have this individual right here. Let's go ahead and check this out. He's skinny, guys. I don't even understand why. Like, was he malnourished too? Like, let's figure it out. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
All right, you put your hand down, grab a seat. Please state your name for the record, spelling your first name and last name.
Paul Ferguson.
I knew his name was Paul. I low-key forgot his name. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, Paul, Miss Vander Ark's son, the enforcer. Let's get it.
PAULFERGUSON.
Mr. Ferguson, you are testifying here today, and is it your understanding that you do have an agreement with the Muskegon County Prosecutor's Office in exchange for your testimony today against your mother, the defendant in this case, Shanda Vander Ark?
Yes, sir.
And is it your understanding that as part of that agreement, the people have agreed that none of your testimony today would be used against you should you exercise your right to have a trial in the pending criminal matter against you?
Yes, sir.
And is it also your understanding that in exchange for your testimony today, you understand that the prosecutor's office will make representations to the judge that oversees your case if such time is reached that you are sentenced in that matter, and that you hope to get some sentencing benefit as a result of your testimony today?
Yes, sir.
And is that in exchange for your truthful testimony today?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of any other promises in regards to your testimony today?
No, sir.
This is the equivalent of a Big Mac and a soda right here. He was in that interrogation room like, yo, she made me do everything. And I mean, honestly, if you're under that type of ruling your entire life, maybe he did feel like he kind of had to do it. I don't know, but we're going to get further into it. You guys let me know if you feel like he's just some evil, terrible person or he was kind of manipulated. I feel like it's a mixed line, but obviously we're going to find out and see if this guy is a cruel asshole or just a misguided servant. I don't know. It's the best word I could think of.
And and for clarity's sake, you are also charged in this matter involving the death of your brother. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what charges it brought against you at this point?
Child abuse, first degree.
And what do you understand the potential maximum penalty for? Well, you know what? Strike that. I want to ask that question. And you are prepared to testify today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Besides your younger brother, G, and yourself, at the time that your brother Timothy Ferguson passed away, who was living at the house in Norton Shores? Besides you and your younger brother, who else was living in the house?
My mother and sorry, my little brother, though he was at my grandparents at the time, my step-grandparents.
And obviously your younger brother, if you can put it that way, but your youngest brother is the one that we're not identifying by name. He was living in the house at the time that your next youngest brother, Timothy Ferguson, passed away, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your mother was also living in that house as well.
Yes.
And is she in the courtroom right now?
Yes, sir.
As best you can you kind of point her out or maybe say what she's wearing right now?
Her hair is in 2 braids. She's got, I think that's a black sweatshirt.
I think that's sufficient for the record to reflect the witnesses identified the defendant, Your Honor.
Yeah, the record reflect that.
Those 2 braids, those damn pigtails, I swear, I said in the last video, the most inappropriate hairstyle to go to court in. But then again, if you have the jailhouse girlfriend and that's all you could get, I guess you're going to take it. But it's a crazy hairstyle to bring to court. I'll tell you that much.
Now let's back up just a little bit from the time your brother Timothy actually passed away. When did Timothy come to live with you and your mother in that house?
May 27th of 2001.
2001.
1.
Was it maybe 2021?
21.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So in May of 2021, Timothy came to live with you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And at the time when Timothy came to live with you, besides yourself and G, was there somebody else that was living in the house during that time period?
Other than my mother and half-brother, my stepfather, Adam.
Okay. And your
Okay, so we got a full household, and she's doing all this shit, and nobody's saying anything. You got, well, his youngest brother, right? Timothy's 15. The youngest brother can't do anything, but you have the stepdad in there too. Like, what's going on with him while she's doing all this shit?
Your stepfather, Adam, was he married to your mother at that time?
Yes.
And is he actually the father of your younger brother, G?
No.
But your mother is the mother to you and to Timothy and to G, is that right? She's
Yes.
your mother, she's Timothy's mother, she's G's mother, is a better way to put it.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay. And at some point in time, did something happen to Adam where he wasn't living in the home anymore?
He suffered a stroke in January.
Did he leave the house at that point?
Yes.
When he left the house at that point, then is that then when it became just you, your two brothers, and your mother living in the home?
Yes, sir.
And when Adam suffered the stroke, was he physically able to do anything to provide any care to either you or to Timothy or to G?
No.
And where did Adam go when he left the house after the stroke?
After the hospital, he went to live with my step-grandparents, my in-laws, in their house in West Olive.
When did the stroke happen?
January.
And from the time the stroke happened, was he ever back in the home in any way?
No.
That's got to be the scariest thing ever. Like, you know, you're the provider. As a man, you want to provide and do all this stuff and, you know, just do all this shit for the family. And now you can't do anything and you got to go live in another house. That is, man, shit. So I wonder if that's what kind of spiraled her, you know? Like, the man was gone and now she has to take care of the special needs kid. She's got her older son here and her youngest son. And I remember she said in her cross-examination, she couldn't really afford things. It was like everything was behind. So I wonder if that's what kind of started it. But it's like, how do you get that evil? It had to already be there, right?
At some point in time in February, there's a discussion fairly early in those text messages about blocking Timothy's access to food. Can you describe what was happening at that time and how he was restricted from getting access to food?
He was sneaking food that was not necessary at that time, and it was solved by placing locks on the fridge, freezer, and pantry.
And when you say he was sneaking food that wasn't necessary, who would make that determination that it wasn't necessary?
Shanda.
And what type of food are we talking about that he would sneak that wasn't necessary?
Sweets or anything he could really get his hands on.
So as early as February, there was restrictions.
Look at him. That's crazy. I was going to ignore it the first time. The second they start talking about, you
Really
know, the cruelty that they were doing, he keeps looking at her. Now, I know he's looking at her because when he identified her, his eyes kind of went in this direction. You can see his eyes looking at her up and down to describe her. Now look at his eyes again as he starts explaining what they were doing. Looking at her, looking at her, looking at her. It's like a script he's supposed to read. Oh, yeah, we did it because he was sneaking sweets and candy, and that's what we're supposed to say, right? Like, who knows what he was sneaking in the room? Kid was probably fucking just hungry, but anyway, let's start.
On the fridge, freezer, and pantry.
And when you say he was sneaking food that wasn't necessary, who would make that determination?
I'm going to put some arrows by his eyes when he looks at Shanda every time he's talking about what they're doing.
It wasn't necessary.
Shanda.
And what type of food are we talking about that he would sneak that wasn't necessary?
sweets or anything he could really get his hands on.
So as early as February, there was restriction, the locks were going on the freezer and the refrigerator, and you said there was also some type of lock on the pantry, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we've heard a text exchange, but at some point a little bit later, as things are progressing into April, was there a time where Timothy was doing something to get the locks off of the pantry door?
He was pulling them off by hand.
And what were you instructed to do as a result of him pulling the pantry door locks off? Let me ask you this way: were you given some instruction to replace that lock?
Yes.
And who gave you that instruction?
Shanda.
And what was your understanding of why you were locking the pantry back up?
Because he was sneaking food.
Let's talk about your brother Timothy for just a little bit. Did Timothy have some special needs?
Yes.
What was your understanding of what his special needs were?
He was attention deficit hyperactive disorder, as well as autistic. He had speech and motor impairments.
Speech and what type of impairments?
Motor impairments, movement impairments.
Movement impairments?
Yes.
And
Oh damn! So it was a lot. Autistic, movement impairments, and I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even being funny, but Paul right here seems like he might be somewhere around that too. So I mean, imagine her, and I'm not giving her a pass. I'm just saying, imagine the stress on her. But then her move is gonna take the less, challenged one to do the evil deeds. This shit is crazy. This is some shit you see out of like a video game or something. The lady definitely doesn't need to have kids. Clearly she just needs to be far away from kids.
that he came to live with you, was he supposed to be taking some medication?
Yes.
And did he stop taking his medication?
Yes.
Why did he stop taking his medication?
Could you please reiterate?
Yeah, I guess a better way of saying it is, who made the decision for him to stop taking his medication?
Shanda.
As far as you know, from the time that Timothy came to live with you in May of 2021 in Norton Shores to the time of his death, did you ever see Timothy go to a doctor?
No.
Did Timothy go to school?
Not public, no.
How was he schooled?
Home.
When we say homeschool, what would that entail?
At first it was assignments on a tablet, and then my mother restricted it to where she would print out the assignments and he would sit downstairs and do them.
Depressing.
So he never went to school and never went to a doctor, as far as you could see.
Yes, sir.
Basically from January, from the time of the stroke moving forward, was Timothy allowed to even leave the house?
No.
When, if ever, was he ever allowed to go outside?
To walk the dogs sometimes?
And when he would walk the dogs, where was it that he would walk the dogs?
In the backyard, out of sight.
Was there ever some physical discipline that was involved with him being outside as well?
Yes.
What was that discipline?
He was made to run up and down the patio stairs.
And those are stairs in the back of your house?
Yes, sir.
Are those visible at all from the front of the house?
No, sir.
Visible to anyone walking by on the street or driving by, anything of that nature?
No, sir.
Hey, listen, if my kids are being some dumbasses or some shit, hey, you might get some physical discipline, run up them stairs, get them fucking, what do you call them calves right. But guess what? They're going to eat some food, and they're going to get a bath, and they're going to go to bed. Like, the problem is this lady is crazy. The kid's not eating no food, and now he has to run up and down stairs. So now we're burning calories, and he's not even getting enough food. Like, what type of shit is this? This is like some long-term torture. Like,
there are some text messages referenced in there where there's a discussion about doing the stairs chasing style. What is that?
chasing style?
Following close behind him to ensure he moves faster.
Oh yeah, no, they're just devious at this point. Nah, for real, they're just on some straight devious shit at this point. Like, chasing style, that doesn't even make sense. There's not a type of drill called steps chasing style. What the fuck?
And who would be the one that would chase him if that was taking
You.
place?
I had to.
What was, besides, you've talked about some of the special needs that Timothy had when he came to live with you. What was his overall physical appearance, though, when he first came to live with you?
He wasn't skinny, but he wasn't extremely overweight. He had a good amount of chubbiness to him.
So he was a little chubby?
Yes.
Obviously, as we all know, and now the jury's already seen some of the photographs, that went away at some point in time.
Yeah, it super went away.
When did the food restriction on Timothy start, with the locks going on the refrigerator, the freezer, and the pantry, and things of that nature? When did that actually begin?
Sometime in February.
What was wrong with him? And look how skinny he is. He said Timothy was chubby. I don't see it in the genetics, because this guy right here is skinny as fuck. Oh wait, no, it's because it's not the stepdad, but still, they have the same mom.
There's been some testimony already about Timothy going on a hunger strike around the time of Adam's stroke. To your knowledge, did Timothy ever go on a hunger strike when Adam had his stroke?
No, sir.
There's also a reference to him going on another hunger strike about 2 weeks before he passed away. Excuse me, did that happen?
No, sir.
The police have indicated that at the time they searched your residence, there were a number of cameras seized, as well as some other items. So let's talk about the cameras first. What was the purpose of the cameras being inside the residence?
To watch Timothy.
And who would be watching Timothy on those cameras?
My mother, or when she couldn't, she had me do so.
And how is it that you would, kind of explain for the jury if you can, how is it that you watched the cameras so you could watch what Timothy was doing?
I would log into the app on my phone, and it would alert me if there was a motion movement.
So you had you had your phone and you had some type of app on there that was connected to those cameras?
Several, yes.
And you said that you were also alerted to movement. Were there motion sensors in the home?
Yes, and the cameras also had that feature as well. They activated on motion.
And what was the restriction on Timothy's movement that would cause those cameras to go off? Where was he limited to?
Could you please reiterate?
Yeah. Where is it that, where could Timothy go, basically?
Mainly he was restricted to the downstairs area, to a closet downstairs.
The downstairs area actually contained 2 bedrooms. One was yours and one was G's bedroom, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And there was also a bunk bed that was out in that area that I believe the defendant indicated was Timothy's bunk bed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where did he actually sleep most nights?
In the closet.
This kid slept in the damn closet, and they had pictures of the closet. Crazy. I think they said they called it the little room. What type of shit is that? The little room?
What did you call the closet?
Oh, here we go.
Was there a name you used to refer to the closet?
The small room.
Oh, the small room.
And what was
My
in the
bad.
small room if Timothy was in the small room?
There was a camera monitoring him, even when he slept.
Was there an alarm on the door as well?
Yes, sir.
Some type of motion sensor or alarm?
Motion, vibration, yes.
So we had that on the door and then a camera actually inside the room as well, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And were there times where you were required to watch that camera?
Yes, sir.
And to your knowledge, were there times when your mother was watching that camera as well?
Yes, sir.
Was there a restriction on how much Timothy could move while he was inside that closet?
Could you please reiterate, sir?
Were there any restrictions on his movement inside the closet, or was it he could move around however he wanted inside the closet?
There were restrictions.
What were the restrictions on his movement?
Hands on his head, normally.
What?
Hands on his head, is that what you indicated?
Yes.
Was that some form of discipline for him?
Yes. On his knees and against a corner or wall of the room.
And when you say hands on head, I'm going to demonstrate just putting my hands just over my head like this. Is that what he was required to do?
Yes.
He was required to be on his knees as well? Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
You have to say yes or no, because this is
I
being
apologize.
recorded. You're fine. No, that's fine. Everybody makes that mistake. It's not a problem. And was he monitored to make sure that he was doing those things?
Yes, sir.
And for how long would he have to do these things?
Several hours.
Several hours of putting your hands above your head and being on your knees. I would be like, fuck this. Y'all gotta kill me. Well, obviously they did. Shit. I'd be like, nah, fuck all that. You got me fucked up. I'll just start kicking on the door. How old? He was 15, right? Man, listen. You got me in a closet with my... Nah, bro. I don't know. That's easier said than done. Trust me. Way easier said than done. He probably thought there was no other way. But damn, that shit is fucked up.
And that was inside his closet, for lack of a better way of putting it, what you referred to as the small room, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were there also times when he was required to stand against the wall?
Yes, sir.
And would that be in the closet, or would that be in other places in the house?
Okay, the craziest shit I've ever heard, because this kind of like relates to it, in Belize, where I'm from, it's real old school. I don't think people do this no more. But if you had a fucked up childhood, or you had a real serious childhood back in Belize, they would make you did something wrong, right? They would get the grater. But it's not the graters you get from the little fucking grocery store with the 4 edges. It's not like that. Most graters in Belize is like an aluminum sheet, like the thick aluminum, and it's like a bunch of nails that got punctured through it to make like a grater effect, right? So it's like a big little pan, and it's like grater texture on it. They'll make you kneel on that shit, and some people are different. Some people, I heard you would have to kneel on the shit for like a certain amount of time. Some people say you would have to kneel on it and like say the scriptures and shit. So all that to say, there's some fucked up shit going around, but I still feel like that's like, you'll probably have to do it for like 30 seconds, a minute, until you finish saying your scriptures. I'm not saying it's bad. That's horrible, right? But to have a kid just sit on his knees with his hands above his head for hours, that's a different type of sick right there. Like, yeah, I mean, what else can you say? The grater is terrible. Maybe that was a bad example, but I'm saying even that probably isn't as bad, because you put your knees on the grater, it hurts, you pray, and then you get off, right? But this guy had a camera on him, and he had to keep his hands over his head on his knees for hours. Give me the grater. I'm not even, fuck that. Like,
Times it would be upstairs by the back door or on the wall between me and G's room.
And when he would stand against the wall, how long were we talking about that he would be required to do that?
Hours, sometimes overnight.
At some point, did you utilize some type of alarm or alarms on his body to alert you if he was moving?
A vibration detector, yes.
Was there
a vibration detector? This bitch is crazy. Yo, no. See, there's a difference between overdoing it. I'm gonna stop talking, I swear. There's a difference between overdoing it and just being a fucking psycho. She got a motion detector. This is investment. She's invested in torturing this kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the better part of her day, making sure that she can fuck with him. Just saying. This is not just over parenting or over disciplining your kid. That happens. You grow up, you realize like, hey, that was fucked up. They shouldn't have did that. But no, this is just some psycho shit.
Was there more than one that he was required to wear at times?
At times, yes.
Where were those devices located on his body?
They were normally tied to the back loop of his belt, or the back loop of his pants, I apologize.
And was there something placed on his wrist as well at any point?
Handcuffs, and before that, zip ties, zip cuffs,
When you say zip cuffs, are those put together with zip ties?
yes.
And those were designed to restrict what?
Movement,
Of what part of his body?
his hands,
I think there's a text exchange that the jury's heard a couple of times where it's referencing him tightening those zip cuffs on his wrist. Do you recall that?
yes, sir.
And so what was happening that caused you to send that text message and had that exchange with your mother about those zip codes?
He was complaining about them being too tight.
And what was your mother's response when he was complaining about those being too tight?
To leave them and she'd deal with it after she got home.
So the jury has some clarity in terms of a schedule here. You and your mother worked basically different shifts, for lack of a better way of putting it. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
What was your job at that time?
I worked as a dishwasher at Applebee's.
And was that, which Applebee's?
The one in Grand Haven right off the bridge.
What was your normal shift that you would work?
4 to close.
What, at that time, was your mother working as well?
Could you reiterate?
Did your mother have a job as well?
Yes.
Where was your mother working?
As a court scribe, I believe you would call it.
Okay, and where physically was that job?
That I remember of? Did she say here at this courthouse?
So there was a time she worked at the Muskegon County Courthouse?
Yes,
Do you remember a time when she worked in a northern county at a courthouse as well?
I believe so, yes.
And
All right, so we're gonna skip over the whole work history. They were both working, basically. You know, he got a job, she had a job, but there was still, the main takeaway is that they were still monitoring this kid and making it difficult for his ass. Let's continue.
there's some text messages. Do you recall a text message exchange with your mother in, I believe it's around April or so, where you've alerted her to the fact that he's eaten some part of a burger?
Yes.
Do you recall that?
Yes.
What was it? What part of the burger is it that he ate?
Just the crust.
And what was your mother's response when you told her that he had eaten the crust of that burger?
Make him throw it up.
Did you try to do that?
I tried at first, yes.
What is wrong with her, bro? She's such a fucking weirdo. Imagine hearing this shit about yourself. Like, how can she... I don't know what type of face I'd have hearing this shit about myself, but what was wrong with her? Like, okay, the kid was slow. Like, why are you so fucking angry? You produced them, you better fucking figure it out. Like, this shit is crazy.
Did you try to do that?
Putting a finger into his mouth as instructed to the back of his throat to induce vomiting.
So who gave you the instruction to put your finger in the back of his throat?
Shanda?
We don't see a text message to that effect. Were you two also communicating by camera as well?
Yes.
The cameras had was it a two-way capability, basically? You
Yes.
could talk to the camera or
You
something.
could
on the
talk
camera?
and they could hear. At certain times it could be activated.
Was there ever any other time where she instructed you to make Timothy throw up?
Yes.
About how many times did she instruct you to do that?
3 or 4?
She keeps shaking her fucking head. Don't shake your head, sweetie. Don't shake your head. She keeps shaking her head like that's gonna make something different. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. Like, she was clearly trying to starve him out. The fact that every time he ate something, a crust of a burger, so no meat, no protein, you just got, what is that, gluten? You just got bread. That's all you got. And he has to throw up because of it. She's clearly trying to, like, slowly do something to him. Nothing good. Yeah, shake your head. She sucks, bro. She is weird. Now look at the twitch in her cheek. Hold on, let me back that up. Look at the twitch in her cheek. She's like a full-on weirdo, bro. Look at that shit. She's a weirdo. She's weird.
At some point in time,
I don't know. She shouldn't have been making kids. She shouldn't have ever been making kids. This shit, nope. You know, some people, it's like we don't want a replica of you. Just go to jail. Stay away from everybody in society. Like, please, please and thank you.
was there a form of discipline introduced that involved you placing Timothy in a cold tub?
Yes.
And what was the mechanism for that? How did you do that?
Clog the tub, plug it, turn on the water and take the ice that was in our ice maker upstairs and put it in, and have him get in.
Initially, how long was he supposed to sit in the cold water?
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
30 minutes.
And that, when we say cold water, we actually mean water with ice cubes in it? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
And how often, when did that start in relation to when Timothy died? If you remember.
I do not remember the exacts.
And do you know about how many times you did that up until the day the day before Timothy died?
Before the day that Timothy died?
The day before Timothy died, we'll get to that in just a moment, and I believe that...
3, then.
So you remember doing it 3 times before the day before Timothy died?
Yes.
And who would direct you to put him in the ice bath?
Shanda.
I believe it. I mean, he wouldn't just think of that shit on his own. This is some adult twisted shit. He's over here just developing halfway, like barely trying to get out of the house and get a job, and she's over here like, yeah, do this Vietnam shit on him. Like, make sure he can't fall asleep and put him in ice baths. Like, what the like, where, who are you?
Was there some type of camera in the bathroom as well?
Yes, on the counter.
Was that camera monitored by somebody if you were in the bathtub, or if you were in the bathroom with Timothy?
Shanda.
Were you instructed to stay in the bathroom with Timothy when he was in the tub?
Yes.
Why?
To ensure that he couldn't get comfortable or try to turn the water hot.
And what would you, if you tried to move around, what were you instructed to do?
I don't quite understand.
If you said that you were supposed to make sure that he stayed uncomfortable, how were you supposed to make him uncomfortable in an ice bath?
Put his body at an odd angle that was not a comfortable position to be in.
When he was in the tub, would he try to rest his head somewhere?
On his shoulder, yes, or the lip of the tub.
Was that allowed?
No.
Yo, this shit. I'm kind of understanding where his perspective is coming from now. I shouldn't say his perspective, but like his POV of everything, you know? He doesn't seem like again, he doesn't seem like the sharpest dude in the tool in the shed, or however you guys want to call it. But so he kind of looked to her, Shanda, for probably, the utmost guidance, and her guidance was do this crazy shit to your sibling. I don't know if I see, me personally, if my mom told me to do some shit like that to my sibling, I'd be like, yo, hold on now. This don't make too much sense. I don't know. Again, not in his shoes, but it's a pretty crazy thing.
I know this is difficult for you, Paul, and you and I have had a number of conversations about this matter. But I need you to look at a text message that you sent to your mother. It's got a photo that you took of your brother. You remember sending that text message?
Yes, sir.
For the record, this is People's 36A. This has been previously shown to the jury. Who took that photo of your brother?
Me.
And you sent it to your mother?
Yes, sir.
Why did you send it to your mother?
Because I was concerned with how thin he was.
And that photo was taken on, do you remember what the date was?
Not the exact, no.
If your phone indicated it was June 13th, you'd have no reason to dispute that.
No, sir.
And you just became, again, the reason you sent it to your mother was why?
Because I was concerned about how thin he was.
You remember what your mother
The way
told you
he
to-
said, because I was concerned about how thin he was, they coached him. They're like, yeah, this is what you're going to say. You want the least amount of time? This is what you say. I don't know how he really was feeling. You could tell these answers, they drilled it into him. They're like, yep, this is what you say. That's what you say there. When we ask you this is what you say. Because you were concerned about what? About how thin he was. Yes, exactly. That's what this is giving me right now. And I'm sure, I'm 100%, nah, it can't be 100. I'm 99% sure that that's what happened. They coached him all the way through what he was going to say. I'm just curious about how he really felt. Did he really not fuck with his brother, or was he kind of just like led along the way? Because, prosecution is leading this narrative that he was led along, Even if that's not exactly what happened, that's how they're going to get their conviction. So they're going to paint the story how they feel like they need to paint it. But I don't know if that's really how he was feeling. Again, you guys got to let me know how you guys think, how you guys feel about it.
To give him after you sent her that photograph?
Bread?
And then is there a reference to bread and some peanut butter?
Yes.
So at that point, your brother's very skinny, right? Was he eating regular meals at that point?
No.
Were you still administering the hot sauce on the bread as a form of punishment for him during that time period?
Yes.
And did that continue all the way up until the time of his death?
Yes.
Did he ever eat any normal type of meal leading up to his death after you took that photo and sent it to your mother?
That day I made him an actual real meal, an actual peanut butter and jelly sandwich, as well as scrambled some eggs and put cheese in them.
Did you tell your mother you had made that meal for him?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because I didn't want her to be upset with me.
Damn. He keeps looking at her. Don't worry, bro. You never have to be with her again.
Move up to the day before your brother passed away. Do you remember the day before your brother died?
He was unresponsive when I was told to get him up.
So you were given some instructions to wake him up in the morning?
Yes.
Was your mother already at work?
Yes.
Man, shit, ran him to the fucking bone. Just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty much where I'm gonna stop it. I just wanted you guys to hear pretty much the methods, the techniques, but it really distinguishes between the two. Was it over discipline, or was it a vendetta? You know what I mean? That it was definitely a vendetta. She was hell bent on making this kid's life horrible. For what reason? I have no clue. But when you're at work and you're looking at your phone constantly to the point where it's interrupting your work, like I said, it's either a girl or you're obsessed with something. In this case, she was obsessed with making her son's life terrible. Like, yeah. So you guys let me know what you guys think. It was definitely not overparenting. This shit was some psycho, had it out for him, want him dead slowly type of thing. And I have no idea why. But anyways, love you guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I know this is probably a bit of a longer video, but this is a crazy trial. So, we have to accommodate. I'll hit you guys tomorrow with some more of this. And I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to let you guys know tomorrow when I post it. If I do, it's a new video I want to post. I want to show you guys. But until then, people, stay inside, stay safe. I love you guys. I'm out of here. Peace.